something that jumped out at me when I was thinking about it is, and this is such an embarrassing story and I feel so terrible that I did this, but I like have been so emotional lately. And the other day I had a friend just be like, can I just give you a hug? And I'm like a physical touch person, right? I love a good hug.
Yeah.
And this someone was like, they could see I was getting a bit upset and they were like, can I just give you a hug? And I literally was like, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Couchman, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. I am so excited to be diving into the Word of God together today. Let's jump into the conversation. Welcome back to the podcast, Lydia. I'm so glad to have you.
It's so good to be back.
Now, this is your second time on the podcast.
It is.
It's the second week back for the new year. If you missed Lydia's first week of episodes, I'm going to link them in the show notes. Your story is incredible. I think you tell a story about when God really revealed himself to you in the episode you did last time. And I have told so many people this story because it was incredible. And it built my faith hearing from you, Lydia. Aww. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming onto the pod. Before we jump into the episode, I want to ask you a couple questions. Is that all right?
Of course.
All right. First one. What is something small that's bringing you joy right now? It doesn't have to be big. It can be little. It could be your family. It could be whatever, anything at all. Just what's something that's bringing you joy right now?
Wow, that's a great question. It's so fun, isn't it? Like, you don't actually think about the little things that bring you joy every day. Honestly, I know this is going to sound cliche, but just having awesome people to work with, like just coming into work and, you know, just chatting with you guys, coming into the studio, having a laugh, and specifically like our team, because I feel like we've got such a great relationship, all of us, and it brings me joy because then it just makes your whole day.
Yeah. When you know you've got everyone who gets along. I totally agree.
Yeah. And people are going to laugh at this, but I love a good country song. Like when I
found this out about you the other day. I didn't know you were a country girl.
I didn't know that you and Toby listened to country music. So that brought me joy.
The smile on your face when you found out that we listened to country music was the best.
It made my day because a lot of times, to be honest, I get judged for it. People go like, oh, you listen to country, and they start making fun of it. I'm like, you've not listened to the good country music.
Good country music.
So
true.
So yeah, so just honestly, just coming across a good country song when someone recommends a good country song, it just brings me a little bit of joy.
I feel like I had a little moment like that the other day, but I found a new walking spot. And I know it sounds so silly, but I think because we live in the suburbs and, you know, we're not like we're probably a 30-minute drive from like the nice bushland or 30-minute drive from mountains or whatever it is, but we don't have like a lot of nature right near us. And I recently found a new walk, and by new, it's not new at all, it's just new to me. And I found it, and when you walk this walk, you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. You feel like you're in the bush.
Love that.
And there's a little river, and I remember walking it being like, God, thank you so much. This is so nice to have like a new little spot to walk that makes you kind of feel like you're somewhere else. So I've been loving that.
When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. Psalm 94, verse 19.
What a good verse. What comes to mind when you read this, Lydia?
I think the first word that comes to mind is relatable. You know, David is talking about something that we all experience. We've all experienced to some level. I know I have. I'm sure you have as well. And I know that you've talked about it and shared it with your listeners as well. And it's a universal experience. Some people experience it a bit more intensely and more deeply than others. But I think everyone does to some level, whether it's, you know, just internally, you know, just you within yourself, your own thoughts, or maybe it's more physical, maybe like, you know, sometimes it can lead to a panic attack. It just comes in different ways for different people. Some people talk about it more openly, others keep it to themselves. Maybe it's shame or guilt. I know I've experienced anxiety myself, and most of it has been social, especially when my family and I like fled our home country, lived in Jordan for a bit, and then moved to Australia, and just having to restart and meeting new people. Because what happens is that you're simultaneously anxious, you know, having to build a new life here and just keeping it together. Because then when you meet new people, you know, they don't know what's going on in your life.
You don't know what's happened in my world.
And then it takes a lot of effort as well to explain it to people. And sometimes you just don't want people to see you that way. You don't want people to see you as an anxious person, as a depressed person who's, you know, going through a hard time. You just want to be able to
coast.
Be relatable, fit in the box. So that's, when I read that verse, and I love, what I love about this verse is that he expresses how he's feeling, but then he points to the source that brings him joy and peace, which is God.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that I love about the context of this verse is it's a very long lament from David of all of the things that he feels like are going wrong in the world. He can see evil happening. He can see, well, not even evil just happening, evil flourishing in the world. You know, he can see people walking away from God. If you go back to the beginning of 94, you know, he's talking about God whom vengeance belongs to. And then he goes through and he's saying, you know, they utter speech and speak insolent things. The workers are of iniquity and they boast of themselves. You know, it goes on and on. It says they slay the widow and the stranger and they murder the fatherless. And it just goes on and on to be like, look at how much wickedness there is in our world. Why, God, haven't you not stepped in? Why, God, haven't you done something? And I think he's quite overwhelmed by what he can see and maybe the lack of seeing God move in those circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, like when you said relatable, I think a lot of us can relate to that.
100%.
Whether it's in our personal world or even the larger, greater world. We watch the news, we sit on social media, and I think a lot of us wrestle with that idea of God. Like, what are you doing? Where are you? Why aren't we seeing these things change? But I think I'm actually really comforted to see this being written in the Psalms because David saw the same thing. He cries out to God, you know, saying, God, where are you? God, you see me. And he's explaining not only this wider fear and anxiety, but then a personal fear and anxiety that I guess comes from there. And so I think it's so important for us because he goes through all of these things. He says, who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul would soon have settled in silence. If I say my foot slips, your mercy, O Lord, will hold me up. And then today's verse, in the multitude of my anxieties within me, your comfort delight my soul. Now, it's a slightly different version, but I do enjoy that version because you hear this lament of all of the things going wrong and all of the things that he doesn't see. But then at the end he goes, but in it all, you are still good and you are still faithful and you are still with me. And I think that's what I love about the Psalms is this idea of, here are all the hard things, but God, thank you that you are still the one who keeps me going. You are the one that comforts me. And yeah, I think for a lot of us, whether it's that wider stress of what's happening in our world or whether it's the inward stress of things happening maybe in our inner world or in our life or in our families or in our circles, we need to know that God is the one who can hold us, comfort us, and take all those anxieties. So I think it's important for us to know that we can be honest about our fears and our anxieties. And I think you said that really well. People are at different levels of being happy to share. But I think this verse shows us you can be honest entirely about your fears and anxieties and worries, but equally to be hopeful about God's nearness and comfort. And I think that's the balance we're all probably wrestling in our lives.
100%.
And how to allow the comfort of God to kind of interrupt our like bad thought patterns.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, right, like when anxiety creeps in, our natural instinct is to fix it ourselves.
Yes.
It's not to go to God and say, hey, God, I'm overwhelmed. I feel all these deep emotions. Please help me. Give me peace. Remind me of who you are and that you're in control, that you've got this. But it's actually to replay conversations, to plan every worst case scenario that you could think of. Instead of pursuing God, we try to manage the weight on our own. Yeah. And it doesn't get us far.
No.
It makes, if anything, it actually makes it worse, because we just don't have the capacity to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders and still be fine. We're weak.
We're not built for that.
No.
I also think when we read the version of today's verse and it talks about like consolation and being consoled by God, I think something that jumped out at me when I was thinking about it is, and this is such an embarrassing story and I feel so terrible that I did this, but I like have been so emotional lately, and the other day I had a friend just be like, can I just give you a hug? And I'm like a physical touch person, right? I love a good hug.
Yeah.
And this someone was like, they could see I was getting a bit upset, and they were like, can I just give you a hug? And I literally was like, no. I was like, you can't give me a hug, I'm so sorry. And it wasn't because I didn't want I didn't want them to, but I was like, I don't want to be upset. Like, I'll cry if you console me. Like, I'll let loose the emotions I'm feeling if someone comforts me right now. But it also proved to me that you can let God be your consolation. You can let God console you, or you can reject him from consoling you. Yeah. And so it actually takes us having the discipline of going to God when things are hard. And I'm not saying I get this right every single time, but it shows me that you can allow God to console you. You can allow God to help you, but you can also not allow him to. And I think sometimes in those moments of, God, where are you? It's because we're asking for God to bring every solution, but maybe not the consolation. And God wants to be with us, console us, help us. He's not always going to give us the answer or the reason or the why straight away. But if we only draw near to God when he's going to give us an answer versus drawing near to God when he can comfort us in a hard time, like, we can't pick and choose how we allow God to work in our lives. And so I think if maybe for some people, and don't get, like, hear me right, I know that I can be like this sometimes. I know sometimes I push God away because I'm like, you're not doing what I want you to do.
We all do it.
I don't want to be comforted by you right now. I want you to fix everything.
Exactly. Tell me why.
Tell me why, God. I'm on a journey even at the moment with, overcoming anxiety and things like that, of really going, okay, God, how am I comforted by you when you're not giving me the solution, or when you haven't fixed the problem? How do I learn and continue to seek you in all of that?
Yes, I love that. And what I love about this verse as well is that it shows David that he was aware of his internal battle. Like, he's vulnerable, he's open, and just, reflecting on what you were saying, that we also have to actually bring it to God and say, hey, God, these are all the thoughts that are going through my head. Life feels unfair. There's so much evil. There's so much pain and suffering. Like, where are you? You're a just God. Like, we know that you're good. We know that you're compassionate. We know that you're faithful. But, like, things don't make sense right now. And I believe that's probably what David was feeling. Yeah. Like, hey, God, like, I know who you are, and I know you're good, and I know that you've got me. But right now, like, I feel like I'm drowning, and I'm crying for help, but I don't see your hand. But he also knew that God is the source of relief.
Yes.
He's not going to actually find it in his circumstances, because his circumstances were full of pain and suffering and discomfort and, wickedness around him. So
that's such a great point. And I think for anyone listening, if you've been in a similar situation, or maybe you're in it right now where you're like, God, I cannot hear your voice. Where are you in this situation? Maybe it's worthwhile asking ourselves, am I seeking God, or am I going to God to be like, give me the solution, solve this for me? And look, sometimes he does. I'm not saying that he can't. But sometimes we actually need to go to him for comfort and that consolation of steadiness and joy and hope that isn't dependent on whether or not your situation changes, but on who God is. And so it's worthwhile asking that question to ourselves so that when we are talking to God or when we're coming to him, we're not just asking for things to be done our way, but we're actually learning how to say, God, I need you to comfort me. I need your help. This is a part of the relationship with God. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. I hope that it encouraged you, that it's helped you through, and that it helps to challenge you through the season of life that you're facing, uplift you if you're feeling down. And most of all, I pray that you're able to draw closer and closer to God. I'm so excited to keep diving into the Word of God with you. I pray you're able to find moments of joy.